Hello, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful day. Um, I'm going to basically give you guys a rundown of what's going on with the current political spectrum with Trump involving Israel. I'm going to explain to you all what's happening, and also I'm going to make a statement, but please don't be judgmental with what I'm about to say because there's a reason I'm saying it. I see people comparing Charlie Kirk to Martin Luther King, and I'm going to make a statement. Charlie Kirk and Martin Luther King both did make fatal mistakes at the end. They both did the same thing. They switched up, and I'm going to explain. At the end of Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy, he started to tell people that you can't be peaceful no more. These people won't change, and they are who they are, basically. And he started telling people you got to fight for what you believe in now. And they killed him the next right after that speech, actually. And if you pay attention to the timeline of Charlie Kirk, though it may, it's tragic, even though he said some pretty wild stuff. He did the same thing. He switched up on Zionism, and he switched up on the Epstein files. He started questioning that shit. I seen that. I was like, damn, that's some wild conspiracy shit coming to fruition. So the thing I want to explain is you guys will see this random kid, and this ties into Malcolm X. You see this random kid out of nowhere just blast his enemy. What drives a person to do this? You got one of two options. Either the propaganda had gotten so bad, because I've watched many right-wing commentators, and it's, ultimately each person believes in free speech, right? But the more I listen to some of these people speak, the more I start to agree with China and Russia. Not on everything, just on censorship, certain levels of censorship. Because I don't believe it's smart to send millions of unaware people with messages of hate the way some of these people do. And then I hear some people, some of the things they say about African Americans in terms of being better off in Jim Crow and slavery, and just deflecting what the civil rights was all about in the Civil War. It's just really off-putting. I learn about certain things because it's good to know your enemy and what they're up to and what they're capable of. That's all I'll say about that. And while I would like to live in a world without enemies, at this point in time in my age, I know it would be foolish after seeing and understanding what I do to think that I live without enemies on this planet. And so now I'm about to get into the whole Trump and Israel thing. And okay, so if you notice at the end, Charlie Kirk went extremely far right. He was breaking ties with Israel, and he was breaking ties with Israel, and he was talking about the Epstein files. Now, you've seen me say multiple times on this camera that I don't understand what's going on with Zionism right now, because the right wing of politics and the right wing political spectrum doesn't like Jewish people. If you guys would step out of this time frame right now and just do some simple history, you'll see that Jewish men were marching with Martin Luther King, not Charlie Kirk, and people like Charlie Kirk. So the comparison to me is wild when people are saying he was like Martin Luther King. I don't understand that. He was actually what Martin Luther King was fighting. And so why I tie Malcolm X into this is because you got one of two situations with the shooter. Either the shooter was blackmailed or had somebody of a higher institution coming down on him with some knowledge they knew and basically blackmailed him. I'm not saying this would happen. I'm saying you have one of two situations. Somebody sent this kid out either with pay or with bribery to do something like this, or this kid snapped through propaganda. Either way, if you look at the spectrum of politics, of them mocking people getting murdered and all this crazy stuff, I seen pictures of Obama hanging and crazy things like that, it comes from the right wing of the political spectrum. Now, both sides can get radicalized. I've seen it. But I'm not going to play games here. And I love video games, but this isn't the time. So, why is Trump helping Zionists? If Trump is a right-wing bigot, as you all say, or a right-wing fascist, why is he helping Zionism? Okay, so before I get into Zionism, I'm going to explain something. Those people are European. If they say they're not European, what I want you to do is, the other day I said that Russians were Asian. Now I want you to go to Google, because Europe is just unbelievable at this point, and type in, what are Russians Asian or European? What Google is going to tell you with their AI overview, which comes from our information, is that Russians are not Asian. Now, if you were to go watch video footage of Russians, and if you was to look into Putin's face, you would clearly see the Asian features. You will see a lot of Asian people and Asiatic people in Russia. So, my thing is, the reason why I brought that up is because those people are European by their own information. If you do a genealogy on any different body on this planet, they're going to have African DNA. But if you get down to the ethnicities and you do some research, you will find that the Polish, which is actually my bloodline. I've said this over and over on my videos. You think they're going to let me go? I wouldn't want to go back to Israel. A friend of mine on my comments keeps saying, you should go back by birthright. I have literal pictures of my great-grandfather, Maximilian Braun. Well, my grandmother does, and mom. And he had a whole nother family over there. People just get murdered left and right. He came to America. And so, a lot of those people I have a connection to, actually. You wouldn't believe it. But whenever I approach them on these videos and stuff, they call me Ham. It's funny, because they're correct. I'll be Ham. Especially in this day and age. So, let me tell you something. Why is Trump helping Zionists? Why is the right-wing political spectrum helping Zionists? Because they're Europeans. What they're going to do is remove all these brown people, level everything out, and then once they're done doing that, what they ultimately want to do in this capitalistic world is Israel is one day going to generate trillions of dollars for a couple of reasons. It's going to be a beautiful tourist spot, but also because of the religion. I keep telling you what they're doing. They want Jesus Christ to be the King, Lord, God of the world. Right? So then once this Jewish stuff is all over with in Israel, they're going to claim that none of it was literal, and they're going to bring their metaphorical reign of people that look like Jesus Christ. You want to know how I know they're going to say it's not literal? Because they're secular. They don't even believe in a God. They just use scriptures to get what they want. And then these people over here in America just recently started using Jesus politicized. There was a great episode of South Park talking about this recently. When Jesus came down to the mountain, was like, shut up, we're going to get shooting. Because if you watch South Park a long time ago, they all bet on Satan in a boxing match. That's the logistics of how these people operate. And then when Satan purposely lost and Jesus won, Jesus was like, oh, that's what you get. How could you people bet against me? Because they don't even believe in it. It's a political tool. Because if you do, there's supposed to be a separation from church and state. But we created that so the state wouldn't get crushed after I did research. A lot of people wanted the church gone. Or they didn't want the church crushed. A lot of people want the church gone after a point in time. Because they was advocating for freeing slaves. This country is so strange. Like, if you do research, you will find that anytime people tried to do the right thing, some real strange shit happened. Real strange shit. It was the Baptist church. They started preaching against slavery, and it's, man. But then again, then you got like the Mormon church and Joseph Smith and all them. Man, it's just like, okay, so back to the point at hand. Once they're done with all this Zionist Judaism stuff, eventually religion's going to fade from like practices and stuff like that, and it's going to be a political tool. I'm telling you. Because the right spectrum of politics do not like Jewish people. White supremacists do not like Jewish people. So it's like all political. They're moving the pieces. The Jews in Israel is a part of their book, so they got to live it out to make all this stuff. Oh, back to why Israel's going to make trillions of dollars, because it's religion. All these billions and billions of Christians are going to donate. There's going to come a point in time where America isn't going to have to donate money to Israel no more. Once they level all them bricks out the way, and they had look, all these bricks will be leveled. The Amalekites are evil. That whole book is a playbook of that they're going to use at certain points in time. You see all these rabbis talking about Yehoshua now? It's all going to blend together to a mega something. And it's going to be a white supremacist buffoon land. But I have a warning to humanity. Unbeknownst to mankind, at their own fallacy, because Dr. Fauci, I'm not going to get in all that. There was a lab, and in this lab, COVID was created by the Caucasian, by an Asiatic land and a Caucasian lab. Right? The people who are least affected by this was the Africans and the African continent. Unbelievable. You wouldn't believe these things. It's like, whoa. This virus took the Caucasian population, world population, from 11% to 7% in 5 years. One instance. I am warning people with fervence, and I've said this in another video. The greater your wickedness, the more powerful the implosion, like a black hole, when the weight of the gravity comes in. Y'all are by force trying to preserve a race of people when you don't got to do none of that. All these shrills out here prove that no harm would come to Caucasians should any power shift. But still, outside of nature, y'all try time and time again. And try time and time again. Y'all keep saying whenever babies mix, it goes to African DNA and blah, blah, blah. Y'all have no idea what y'all talking about. People assimilate back into the Caucasian race over and over and over. You do a genetics test on most of these people, you'd be surprised. Just as mixed as I am. But at the current time, have more genetics of European DNA. So, the whole idea of them helping Jewish people, I keep telling y'all, it's a tornado that's spinning and spinning. You saw what Charlie Kirk was doing at the end there, rebuking Zionism because he wasn't going to be able to be a right wing. I'm going to give you another instance, right? Watch this. One of I just shared this documentary of this man talking about fascism and Charlie Kirk and capitalism, right? The Caucasian man from yesterday. And he named 3 supporters, and one of them was the Koch brothers, Charlie Koch. Charlie Koch is a billionaire, but basically an investor, and he owns a bunch of different things, like fuels, right? Fuel. And I thought to myself, okay, let me research this guy. So I said, did this man profit from the Middle East and the wars and all that? Let me think about this for a second. So then I said, did he support George Bush or donate to George Bush? No. Did he support to the right-wing media? No. He is a libertarian and believes about freedoms and left-wing. What? Okay. This man donates almost $10 million a year to Turning Point USA for Charlie Kirk and all them, right? And I said, a libertarian, what are they doing? Why are they like? He didn't stand a profit from the Middle East and George Bush. He said George Bush was a nice guy, but was silly, right? So Turning Point USA advocates for Jewish people, right? But did you know the reason George Bush went to war the reason he went to war, this is open information, was because Zionists were telling him if he didn't go after the people in the Middle East, they were going to label him as a terrorist. Now, when I just did my own research for 5 seconds, I can clearly see that the Koch brothers aren't libertarians or liberal. I can clearly see that they donate to the same organization that put pressure on George Bush. And then I said, are the Koch brothers Jewish? No. He's not Jewish identity. I do a dive of his ancestry and he is Jewish. He's just secular and renounced the religion. Y'all, I am who I am. You are who you are. I am the one who frees from the land of bondage or binds myself if I choose because I'm the one that does everything. Watch this. I can make a statement, right? And you guys will call it bad and hate speech, right? You'll say it was in the past. I heard Charlie Kirk say something was 25 years ago. So blah blah blah. How much more 75 100 years ago? That's times 3, times 4. Right? So then I thought to myself, they keep saying going back in the past is wrong, and it was a long time ago. So that's what I'm about to do real quick. Japan attacked Pearl Harbor, so we nuked 2 of their cities. One attack, one instance of terrorism, they would say, right? Okay. But if you do a deep dive on Ukraine and why we're in Ukraine, and look up Operation Paperclip. If you do a deep dive on Operation Paperclip in Ukraine and notice the Nazi-like political spectrums in Ukraine, why in the world? So now then, ask how many terrorist attacks from the right-wing spectrum towards Russians, immigrants, Indian and African students, and people of color, and Russians, how many terror attacks have happened since World War II? Then look up who Ukraine sided with in World War II and whose side they was on. Then look up a couple of presidents ago, that right-wing guy who instituted all them Nazis to come forth. So I said, okay, Nazis have been bombing Russians and bombing Russian infrastructure. So I thought to myself, I thought to myself, Russia would be justified if they did the same thing we did in World War II. So then I said, no, think about it. Don't say that, because somebody could say that you're wrong for saying that, and that you are inciting hate speech for saying that. So as I said, okay. So then I said, in order to come after me for hate speech, for saying that Russia would be justified for that, you would have to renounce the United States, say that we were unjustified in World War II, and then go after America and the American establishment with the same justifications or the same punishment that you came after me with for saying that about Russia. I don't know what sick game Europe is playing right now, whether people are left or right. I don't know what kind of sick game is being played, but these capitalists and these elitists and these people in power are slaughtering people's minds, straight playing with people. Charlie Kirk, essentially, and the right wing are the same, even though they clown the Islamic Caliphate and they clown Islam. You should see his page and see some of his posts and what he said about them children in Gaza. But essentially, he's the same as them. He believes in Christianity, that should be at the top, that Jesus shall lead, just like Allah. He believes in harsh punishment for people of immigrants and other religions, and he believed they shouldn't have their religious establishments here. He believed that people were better off when they were under enslavement and Jim Crow. What's the difference? He's a radicalist, an extremist. And the very thing that he's fighting, he is. He said women shouldn't have rights and shouldn't vote. Then had the nerve out of his mouth to say, hey man, which Islamic country would you like to go live in? But he's the same thing. Them people in them churches, I've heard them speak on camera. Women shouldn't be allowed to vote, make decisions. The man should control everything. How are you different from Islam? Y'all believe other people aren't human and should be enslaved and shouldn't have rights? Y'all come after the homosexual community for no reason. They don't want nothing to do with y'all. I promise you they don't. It's all a twist. They're using religion. Okay, so then in another instance, he believes that they're religious extremists, right? He believes that that's what the Islamic Caliphate was, right? But then, why did this governor in Ohio, whatever state, just go buy $6 million worth of Trump Bibles from China and put them in schools? Why did they post the New Testament and the Ten Commandments all over these schools? Even in the law of the beast, they don't follow. which is ironic to me. It's all a political figurehead. So I don't trust none of it. It's all vain. Some of these diseases they say are incurable and all this other stuff, they cure within the last. You can have sex with HIV now and won't spread it. It's undetectable. Then you basically don't have HIV and you can live for years with it. Look at Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson is who they politicize. There are millions of people living with this stuff. Remember all throughout the 90s and 80s, AIDS is going to kill you, kill you, kill you. But if they was able to cure it in 10 years, they already had the cure. I told y'all they release things when they want them to be released when they can no longer be weaponized. I believe some of these diseases have been weapons. Because throughout the humanity of mankind, they just appear out of fucking nowhere. Out of nowhere. Then you look at some of these diseases that actually come from natural humans. Go do research on Europe. Please do. Look at some of these videos of historians actually showing inside of houses and homes, and they lived with livestock. These people were getting, they talk about leprosy. They were getting lesions and diseases but y'all call Africans animals and immigrants? It's all political, guys. It's all of it. No, you all have the same DNA. You're all God's chosen people. But the reason why a lot of you have no idea where to go and what to do is because these elites are slaughtering your minds. And I'm telling you over and over that outside of this little racist tool that they're using, when they get more and more power, Trump just invited double the number of Chinese students to come and study in America now. Because it profits him. He's making his Bibles in China. The same Caucasians now, if you were to go back 100 years, 150 years, and you come here as an Englishman from England, come here from Germany or France, they'll string you up. You say something wrong. This is an hate speech. Do some history. They didn't like those type of whites. I don't have to lie about the things I'm saying on camera. It's upsetting. It's making me happy that all these immigrants and people and everybody's coming out saying racism, blah, blah, blah. But it's kind of upsetting that when we were complaining and speaking for hundreds of years, people were calling us lazy blackies, animals, people that don't want to assimilate. Yeah, even our Hispanic brothers were doing that. All these Hispanics in Chicago, these Venezuelans are people that were terrorizing us and have their own communities that would harm us if we walked. Just like the sundown towns, you African Americans go in some of them communities and watch what would have happened to you. But the same happens in our communities, or does it? I've seen people walking through talking about 63rd, walking through our neighborhoods just fine. But us it's like everything's against us. But us African Americans walk through and we get shot. You don't think I ain't gonna talk about gun violence in our community on this camera? But I'm not finna sit here and talk about gun violence like we wasn't all crammed into a small fucking community with gun stores and liquor stores everywhere with these people up putting drugs in our neighborhoods. And y'all want me to cry for this, man? And y'all got the nerve to bring up black violence, but won't talk about what's happening to us? But now y'all see. Maybe now, what I said on my camera a long time ago, sometimes it takes something happening to people. And then this man's wife got on camera wearing all white in a white room full of white bricks with this man having a black chair, right, or a chair, and her having a black shirt under it, just beneath the white, right? That's symbolic because y'all all got African in you. Everybody on this planet is African or indigenous. There's just genetic mutations. And then this woman had the nerve to say, y'all gonna pay for what y'all did to my husband. Y'all, you people, you. Like it wasn't a right-wing, raised and grown MAGA family child that did this shit. Who is y'all? Y'all blame the left, trans, black, white, purple, green, Asian, Hispanic. Y'all see what us African Americans are talking about now? Yeah, even y'all Africans that came here and talked about us like a dog. Do you see now? Because we were still at the Congo, Rwanda, the Sudan, right? I speak for all peoples. Because yet and still there is Ukrainian children that have watched Mr. Rogers and Sesame Street and they want shit to do with this and are fucking dead now. Africans, you are dead! Love who I am with all my heart and soul, and love others the same. And when that is no longer heard but understood, we'll be okay. When putting no gods before who I am makes sense, put no idols, love who I am with all my heart and soul, and the same others that come from me, that are with me and birth me, we'll be okay. Until then, the constant circle of fake opposition, I'm black, you're white, I'm brown, you're Asian, you're Jew, you're fucking blah, 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 blah. It's cool that y'all are those things. It's cool. But I don't give a fuck. The bigger your star, the bigger your supernova, the more you will be crushed. I don't care if you're children of Israel's diaspora, still living on this planet today. Because none of y'all have any idea what y'all are fucking talking about. Peace and love and understanding is going to be the only way to prosper. Capitalism is trying to choke you all with the same noose that it used on African Americans a long time ago. And the more y'all perpetuate this system unrighteously, the more y'all compete on these games, these mobile games, the more y'all spend thousands to hurt each other and crush each other and have the nicest Sweet 16 and have the newest TV and blah, blah. Y'all are gone. In all honesty, the amount of money Americans make, if we would stop being capitalistic and just sat back and lived comfortably, y'all could cut all that other shit out and still eat fast food every day and be comfortable. But it's just so much blink. America's like a big candy store, and yeah, even the adults are waiting in line for their jawbreakers. And I wish, and I say, these people have a time and a time's time before their own destruction crushes them like the black hole they created.